Join me for a craft along as I make some ephemera for my Poe journal. Hi everyone, it's Jean from Inky Owl Studio. I am working on my Poe journal, and today, as I said in the intro, I'm going to be doing that magnetic bookmark, and I'm going to be doing some pockets, and I'm going to use the free digitals that I have in case you want to use them. They are just portraits of young women, mainly because that is usually the death of a young maiden is his poetical muse in a lot of his poetry. So I will, I've already cut 2 pieces of cardstock, and I made them a little wider probably than a normal bookmark because I wanted to put on this really awesome digital part of the Haunted Mansion, this big Victorian edifice. I really wanted to put that on there. So it's 2 1/4, and I cut it the long way, so we've got 11 inches to work with. I intend for this to hang down a little bit from the page because I want to put a charm on the bottom. So, oh yes, please forgive my nails. I've been dyeing with coffee, and it dyes everything. I should probably wear those gloves. I know, but I don't. So we'll get started here with, first I need to attach the 2 together. So I'm basically going to fold down one end, probably like so, but like that. And indeed, that might be a little more than I want. Maybe I'll just cut that off. Yeah, a 1/2 inch probably would have been sufficient. There we go. Okay, and I still have yes. And then I'm just going to glue these 2, the second one to that fold so that we have it coming over the page together. And we'll just stick that right inside like that. And so it will fit over the page. Let's just take out a plain page so I can get a better visual on it. The idea is for it to fit over like so, and to have a magnet so that the 2 strips will connect together. I use a magnetic bookmark all the time. I really do like that. It doesn't fall out, and it sits there on the page, and I just use that a lot. So now I want to think about attaching my image, and I'm going to, well, first before I do that, I think it's a good idea for me. I'm just sort of like crafting along here, so we're doing kind of a process video. I'm going to come down. I'm thinking I want an eyelet in here, so maybe I'll come down about 3/4 of an inch, and I'm just going to cut them both. All right, now let's just see how the image, oh, and then I think I'm going to put the image on this side, cover up that seam a little bit. Yeah, cover up that seam there. Yeah. And have this hang down just a little bit below the page, sort of like that. I kind of like this. This look is good. Yeah. Probably shouldn't have cut that off up there. But I still think I can get in there okay. Yeah, I kind of like that idea. So we don't have to cover up that seam. I can use another way of doing it, but I think that's what I'm going to do. So we're just going to glue this page. And so I am working with my Porch Prints Poe journal, which I love because I love the burgundy colors that she has put into here. It's really, really nice. And we'll just get that lined up in here. I'm going to cut this off here on the side. So Poe is such an interesting character. I've seen a couple documentaries, but the one I really enjoyed was the PBS documentary, which is on, I streamed off of Amazon. I got a month's worth of PBS documentary. station, and it's really, it's not that expensive. I think it was like $3.99 for a month, which is great because they've got so much on there. Of course, I love documentaries. I don't know, it's just me, I guess, but it was a good one. It was done by, they had little snippets of acting in it, and a very good actor. His name escapes me, but he did a fantastic job. But it's very good. It's very balanced. It really, you know, it shows him with all his warts and plus all his talents. All right. Okay. Oh, I just, you know, see, this is why I can't craft and chat, because it just now dawned on me. I forgot to put the magnet underneath there. Yeah, this is why I don't do that a whole lot. It's okay, because I'll figure it out. So I'm just going to put the magnets on in the back, and I'll find a way to cover them up later on. I have these little teeny magnets that I got. They are by this company on Amazon, HHOOMY. These are 0.2 inch diameter. They're called small refrigerator magnets, but they're pretty powerful even though they're small. I like working with them because they don't have like a big bump when you get done, like maybe the other ones do. So first of all, I'm going to determine about where I want the magnet to be, and I think I want it to be somewhere in this vicinity. Yeah, somewhere in that vicinity, I think, is where I'm going to put that magnet. So the first one I'm going to put down with a little bit of tape. I'm going to get, now there's all kinds of ways to do this, but what I'm going to do is get a marker, one of these Sharpie markers. I'm going to put some black on there and immediately come down and do this. Let me see here. Yep, I see it. It's right here. Okay, it works better on light colored paper, of course. Now, another thing you could do too, and I've often done this a lot, I have double-sided tape, and I will just do this as well, just to show you. And so I put a little bit over it. Want to be careful that you're only putting it on the magnet and not everywhere else. And then you can put your two pieces together, press down, and oftentimes, there you go. So now that's stuck over there, this one's here, and then I'm going to put a piece of tape over that, just so it's not so sticky. So those are two different ways that you can do that. And yeah, so you have this to go over your page, just like so. Now this is a little bendy because I just got done gluing it and it's still wet-ish, kind of wet. What I'm going to do, once I get everything glued on the way I want, I will probably put this underneath several books just to get it super flat. I often have to do that. Think what I can put there that is kind of small. You know, what we could do is we could put down some coffee stained paper on the inside, and then the person could actually write on the inside of the bookmark. That, you know, that's not a bad idea. Oh, I kind of like that idea. So let me go ahead and get that glued in, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, so the bookmark is got the paper on the inside, so somebody could write. It has the back. Now to reinforce that seam up there, I'm going to put some cloth that's matching the cover of my journal. So I'm going to start by, I'm just going to use glitter glue. Okay, very nice. You could probably put one on the inside as well. I might do that later, I don't know. But there we go, a little bit of decoration there, a little bit of wallpaper inside that house. Now I'm going to put an eyelet down here, which also makes me think that if you didn't have magnets, you could very well put an eyelet in the bottom right here, you know, in the middle, and connect both sides. And you probably want to come down low enough, but connect both sides, and therefore you could just use the bookmark, like opening it up and sliding it onto a page that way. So that might be an option too if you wanted to make the double-sided bookmark. Just an idea, but I want to put a charm on the end of that, so I'm going to go ahead and eye that up. So here's the bookmark with the charm on the bottom, and I altered some vintage earrings, a little bit of red in there, and it'll fit on the page, just like so, just like that. And hang down a little bit, you know, on the bottom. On the back side is this really lovely rest of that image, and then of course on the inside we can do journaling. Now really I'm kind of glad that I put the magnets the way I did, because they were easier to line up, and also there's less between the magnets, so they can snap together better. So really I think putting them on the inside was the best way, and then just covering it up with another image. So let's move on to the pocket envelopes. So the next I'm going to do is this long envelope. It's black. I don't have to cover it. That's so nice. But I'm going to put that into the journal and have it folded over and put it into the signature there at that end. And I simply am going to glue this down. So like, as you all probably well know, every time you work with new envelopes, you want to make sure that you do something about that glue. And I am going to just glue that down inside like that, because I want my envelopes to open at the ends. So we'll close it shut. And I'll just come over here and take that off. And I'm going to be using the little digitals of the young women portraits. And get these out. Now this one is, in my mind, going to be Lenore, because, well, this is going to be Annabelle because she's very young. And so in the Annabelle Lee poem, she's there. They have a very young love, is what it's talked about, and so I really imagine that one to be almost like an older teenager. Which, you know, we're talking about a time when 16-year-olds routinely got married. A little different time than it is now. And so I'm going to put this here as the portrait. And I liked this image because it was kind of wispy. Wasn't like a super clear vintage image. Just had that mysterious wispy look to it. And I really kind of like that one. So I know a lot of people, you know, or sometimes are put off by some of his poetry because, yes, he does talk a lot about death. But you have to couple that with the fact that he lived during the time when the mortality rate was three times as what it is today. And not only that, but there was very little medicines, very little treatments that really produced positive outcomes. Some even hastened the problem. And one of the big killers of that time was tuberculosis, and also called consumption. And that took a lot of lives, and in fact, it took the lives of 3 women that he adored in his growing up. The first one was his mother, and at 2 years old, his mother, I think she was 24, 25, she died of tuberculosis and left her and his sister and brother to be adopted out. And they went to different homes, and so he had... his foster mother was, last names were Allen, and that's where that middle name Allen comes from. And the foster mother, Frances, I believe it is, she loved him and encouraged him, and he loved her, and it was a very good relationship, very healthy for him. He had a good relationship there, but with his father, it was not at all. His father rejected him in a lot of ways, made life kind of tough, never officially adopted him, uh, left him nothing in his will. And in fact, he ended up leaving money to his illegitimate children, but he never left anything to Poe, which is very, very sad. But anyway, she, however, when he was in college, she died of tuberculosis consumption. And very tragic. And it was very, very hard on him. Of course, any death would be. And then when he married, and it was a rather controversial marriage, but he married his first cousin, and she was at a very young age. I think they were together maybe 10 years. She too died of tuberculosis. So it was during the time when there was a culture of death at that time, because people would either die from disease, or childbirth was another big one that took a lot of people, a lot of women and children. And it was also a time during that Victorian period of the early 1800s that a lot of people put a lot of money into edifices and monuments, into graveyards. So it was kind of a renaissance of graveyards, so to speak. Instead of just plain headstones, they would do more elaborate things. So I think he poured all his grief into his poetry, is basically what he ended up doing. Okay, I think I kind of like this. I might need a little bit more lace though. A little something here. Maybe, okay, maybe just put just a patch of this down here on the side. I think I kind of like that idea. Yeah. And so for this, I'm using glitter glue because it dries clear. Lace is really hard. It's difficult to use Fabri-Tac with it because it just ends up being shiny. And a lot of it's going to be leaking through. So I try to tack just that more dense area of the lace. Don't know if it makes a big difference, but that's what I try to do. Okay, let's just put that in there like that, and that will dry. And I might even just wrap that lace around. Hey, why not? I'll just wrap it right around to the other side. So Poe had a lot of tragedy in his life, and he never had a proper father figure, and he craved beyond anything a family life, and that's really what he wanted. And he tried his best, but he also had a talent for making life hard for himself. It seems that he had a self-destruct button, because he would do things that were just totally like, Poe, why are you doing that? So for instance, when he published The Raven, it was very, very popular. It was probably the most popular piece of his time that he published. And he had lots of recognition for it. It was just great. But what did he do? What did Poe do? He went out, and first of all, he had an affair with a married woman while he still was married. And then he began to attack a very well-loved poet of the time, which is Longfellow. And he just gave scathing reviews of Longfellow's poetry. It was just really like, Poe, why are you doing this? Why are you making enemies? But yeah, between that and the affair, he really lost a lot of traction in his publications. So yeah, he did that quite a bit throughout his life. So he was flawed like all of us. Okay, there is Lenore. Now let's go over here and do Annabelle. Get Annabelle done. I think what I'm going to do here, though, is I'm going to put down a stencil, and I'm going to get some white pigment ink and stencil that up a little bit and kind of give a little bit of a love to mask. And so that was very pattern that you probably come across a lot in, especially on the walls. But Poe's use of language is brilliant. It's very beautiful. Even though he writes about subjects that are hard, just the language, he just can transport you with his language alone. You can so much sense the grief and wonder, and people love to hear him read it. He would go to parties and always ask for him to read it. Anyways, another thing about Poe too, which a lot of people don't realize, that he wrote more than just these dark pieces. And I think out of the 70-some pieces that he published, only 12 of them really were dealing with this subject. He also wrote comedies, and he wrote the first detective story, a precursor to Sherlock Holmes, for sure. There's like 3 mysteries he wrote, and Murders at the Rue Morgue is probably the most famous one. But he's the one who came up with the idea of giving clues to the reader, being in a locked room, that all the clues that the reader needed to solve the murder was right there in that room. Deducing different clues, having eyewitnesses. I mean, it's all there, and it's just very fascinating that many detective stories to follow copied his approach to that. So yeah, he wrote those kind of stories too. And he wrote, some of his poetry was put to music, so I'm not saying that he wrote the music, but other people did. Poetry really, though, was his first love. And it's what he excelled in, probably, or felt that he did. Okay. Alrighty. Just do that. So that will be glued on the inside for writing. And I wanted to add one more thing to her. Gotta cut out a little bit of these flowers from the kit. I think I'm going to go ahead and add that somewhere along there. Let's see here. I'll just just add that right there. And then we have to add her name. Let's see, I put Lenore down below. We'll put it up on top. So I hope that you are doing well, and maybe you're working on Halloween or fall journals. Kind of getting those things around together. It's so hard in Florida to really even think about fall. It's just so hot. It's still very hot here, and yes, I don't think it's going to cool off till October. So it never feels really like fall here. Okay, I am going to be making a trip, though, up to visit my daughter. I usually go every fall, so I'll be able to enjoy some of those beautiful leaves and crisp mornings and that type of stuff. So now we have this little guy done here. We have a pocket there. I think I'm going to do is sew around these before I glue those in. So here is it finished. Give you a little bit closer look. And I sewed around some tea stain or coffee stain paper. Glued that in for journaling. And here is the back part of that pocket. So yeah, there you go with this, and a little closer look maybe with the bookmark. Really fun. Really, I want to make myself one of these. I really like that image. So thank you so much for viewing, and I hope you subscribe. And I think I might do one more on the Poe journal, and if I don't, then the next one will be the flip through of it. So we will talk to you later. Have a great evening. Bye.